It's Adamus. Welcome back. Sorry for the long hiatus between the holiday season and then immediately going back into work after the holidays. Things got pretty hectic. I had a video lined up regarding the whole Minnesota thing, but never got around to uploading it. I'll probably upload it later after I make some changes to it. But there's a there's a topic I want to touch on, something that's been staying on my mind for a little while, and I think it's very important. And I really hope this gets to all the right people. And I'm sure there are already people doing this already, you know. But Andrew Torba, Jimmy Talks, and many other people I read newsletters of or listen to podcasts of. They all say the same thing. Razorfist is another one. Young Ripa, you know, they all say the same thing, that we have to build our own systems, right? Our own institutions, our own economies, our own forms of entertainment. And that is true. That is 100% true. I agree with that. And we definitely need to do that. And that's what I'm trying to do here with this channel. And there are some projects I've been working on for a little while now that eventually, hopefully gets out there, sees the light of day, and maybe it'll be something, but I'll digress from that. But my point is, like, it's true that we need to have these, parallel economies and systems. But something that I think is equally true is we need to take back our old systems and institutions, because at the end of the day, that's where ultimate power lies. Building a separate economy, or a parallel economy, or a parallel institution won't matter if the balance of power tilts over to these progressive communists that are becoming rampant on the Democrat side of, and the other side of the aisle, right? Like, the DNC has become more radicalized, and they're essentially communists at this point. Okay, and if power ever tilts too much in their favor, you know, you can kiss your parallel economy goodbye. You can kiss your, you know, everything that you built outside of these old systems will be gone. They'll made illegal. They will be made illegal. They'll be banned. People will be arrested. We got a taste of that with the previous administration. We can see it happening in other Western countries like the UK and Australia, so on and so forth. And I think something just as important as building, separate economies and separate institutions is taking back the old institutions. We can't let, and it's imperative. It's not just that it's important, it's imperative that we take back control of our old institutions. We can't let these foreigners gain control of our institutions anymore. We can't, because we've seen the damage that it has caused. And it's not just foreigners, but it's also, I'm just going to say it, man, American communists. And this has been a battle we've been fighting for a long time now. And we have to fight fire with fire. We can't just sit here and be like, okay, we're going to build our own things and make everything happen overnight. And unfortunately, it's not going to happen overnight. We have to think ahead. We have to think far, far ahead. You know, we didn't we didn't get to where we're at right now overnight. These communists came in, they infiltrated our institutions, every facet of American society. They infiltrated entertainment, they infiltrated our government, they infiltrated academia, every part of it, and at every level, local, state, national, they were everywhere. And they played the long game, because that's their strategy. They go in there, they come in, they start working in these places, and even private institutions. Not just government institutions. Private institutions as well. Banks. Giant companies. Walmart. When you look up the history of Walmart and how Walmart started, I know his name was Walt something. I'm sorry, I'm butchering his name. I looked up his history, and the history is actually very cool. When you look up how these, old American companies started, a lot of them seem to start off pretty patriotic, very American, you know, starting very small and working their way up. But like every other part of our society, it's been infiltrated, you know, by a bunch of communists, by a bunch of progressives, and they played the long game. They were looking towards the future, and I think patriots, American patriots, are being. I could be wrong, you know. Say in the comments if I'm not paying enough attention or if I'm wrong about this. But I think we're being very short-sighted and avoiding. Like, there's a lot of people that are preppers that are going onto the countryside that are that are just hiding, not hiding, but I guess that's the best way to put it. Like, they're hiding out, they're waiting, they're biding their time and just hanging out there. But like I said before, power lies in these institutions, right? Whether it's a federal, state, or local governments. And they all have the equipment, they all have the manpower, they all have the capability of coming after everybody. We saw it happen with Maludo just a few weeks ago, or a month ago now. Man, time, so much is happening, time is going by so fast, I don't even know anymore. But they have these capabilities. And if we let these institutions fall into the hands of these progressive communists, these global homo communists, and we're making a huge mistake. Because we can build our parallel stuff, our separate economies or whatever, and it won't matter, because if they take if they take control of the old institutions, they will knock all that down. You could be hiding in the middle of Montana. They will find you, they will come after you, and they'll label you a dissident, and they'll throw you behind bars or kill you on the spot. You'll probably get killed on the spot if you're a prepper. Oh, he has weapons. But that's just going to the extreme. Like, I'm just saying, like, that's an extreme scenario. But I really think, like, I'm pretty sure there are already people, in these institutions doing the right thing, over, like, in the FBI or DHS, or in state level investigative agencies, local law enforcement agencies. And it's not just law enforcement, it's not just the organizations with the guns, but schools, academia, universities, high schools. They are, for the most part, they are very, very liberal. Those organizations are highly liberal. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of, like, conservative teachers out there, but I'm pretty sure they're outnumbered by a lot of these liberal slash progressive slash whatever label you want to use. They're outnumbered by those people, and I think we need to change that. We need to change that demographic, or not really demographic, but like that mindset. So that way we can regain control of these institutions and bring them back to being American, for an American institution, and institutions made for Americans by Americans, and they can no longer be manipulated or used by these communists, essentially. And if we don't start doing that now, if people don't start going into these institutions now and playing the long game, and I know it's asking a lot too. I'm gonna be real here. Like, it is asking a lot, right? Like, people are gonna be like, oh, so I have to go into these things and make a career out of it, and go up into a position where I can make policy, and it's like, it's essentially what needs to happen, because that's what they did. That's what these people did. All right. If you look at the history, they all became lawyers. They all became teachers. They became politicians. A lot of them were groomed. They were prepped for these positions, brought into these positions, so they can do what they needed to do. And it wasn't supposed to happen overnight. It was going to be a slow burn. And Joe McCarthy saw it coming. He was ahead of his time. He knew what was coming. And what's it called? They say he drank himself to death, but I honestly think he was taken out. the circumstances in which he died is just, I don't know, it's pretty suspicious. But yeah, my point is, like, we need to take back the old institutions just as much as we need to build new ones. We have to. It's imperative, because if we don't, then the new, it doesn't mean anything. Building the new institutions would not have meant anything. It would have been in vain. You know. But I'm gonna cut it short here. Thank you guys very much for listening. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. All right. God bless you all, and America first. Take care. Adamus out.